For an extreme lifestyle like a one-bag life, there are definitely some things that you will stop buying when you start pursuing a one-bag life. That's why this video is all about these things, or better, this category of things that you will stop buying when you start your own personal journey towards a true one-bag life. And as always, at the end of the video, I will give you my best tip on the broader category of things that you should stop buying right now for every kind of lifestyle, even if you're not pursuing a one-bag life. So don't miss out. For everyone who's new to my channel, I'm Sven, just an extreme minimalist with less than 150 possessions, whose biggest desire is to live his whole life out of just one carry-on sized backpack. So if you end up liking the video, don't forget to subscribe and like, but most important, share a comment with your thoughts at the end of the video and join me on my journey towards a true one-bag life and to find out how an extreme minimalist lifestyle looks like. But I would say, let's get started. When you start thinking about living out of just one backpack for the rest of your life, what would be the things that you would stop immediately buying to make space for the necessary and important things? That is actually one of the main questions I asked myself when I went on to the journey to a true one-bag life, and it's still the questions I ask myself almost every day. And honestly, I would say it's definitely not easy to answer in a very fast and quick way, because yes, there are some things where I would definitely say it's very easy to stop buying them if you just can't take your personal essentials and the most important things in your life inside of just one bag. But after that, you will realize how extreme actually a one-bag life is. Then it gets much harder to decide which things you should stop buying for your own personal journey towards a true one-bag life. That's why I will start with the easiest category of things, and afterwards we will work our way up to more difficult things and decisions afterwards. But as I said, let's start with the easiest category of things first that you should definitely stop buying right now if you want to pursue a one-bag life, and that is actually physical media. And I know this isn't like physical media, this is an e-reader, but I don't have physical media to show you, so in general I would say physical media consists of the most popular things like books, DVDs, CDs, and everything around that. And don't get me wrong, I definitely get the appeal of like a physical book or a physical CD to put in a CD player, and I think personally it's very satisfying and sometimes even much better than digital media. But as you can maybe imagine, when you size down to a backpack or even smaller to a carry-on sized or a personal bag sized bag, you definitely don't have space to put like big physical books in there, because you want to size down only to the essentials that you need. So you should definitely stop buying physical media if you want to pursue a one-bag life, because even if the appeal is there, you definitely won't have the space to carry as much books or other, as I said, DVDs or CDs in your bag. So let's take it a step further and let's talk about clothes. And I talk about multiple pieces of one clothing item, like 10 t-shirts or maybe 3 pairs of trousers and 5 swimming trunks or 5 pairs of swimwear. And don't get me wrong again, I definitely think you would need you need clothes, and you will need as much as you feel comfortable with, but try to minimize this as much as possible. Because if you watched one of my videos where I showed you how I organize my bag, clothes will be the part that will most of the times take up the most space inside of your bag. So if you're carrying a lot of clothes, you will definitely not have enough space for the other essentials that you need. So try to minimize your wardrobe to the most important things like base layers and cover layers, and then maybe a rain jacket, and try to be as minimal as possible, because I'm very sure you don't need like 10 pairs of the same shirt, or you don't need like 5 pairs of swimwear. So try to minimize as much as possible so you stop buying as much clothes as you would maybe possibly done before that you actually maybe don't wear as well. From clothes, one step further and maybe even a little bit more difficult will be toiletries, skincare, and everything related to that. And I know sometimes it can be very hard to decide if you really need everything. But maybe you should ask yourself, do I need every cream that I carry right now Do I need every kind of toiletry, every kind of tweezer that I have? Because I think toiletries are maybe one of the most expensive things in your bag, especially if you carry a lot of them. And I think you wouldn't need anything that you have right now. So as I said, don't get me wrong, I'm not an expert in like a dermatology field or so just don't take it as like medical advice. And I know that some of you out there have like some medical conditions that need a specific treatment. But I would say that most of the times the most basic skincare and the most basic toiletries will do 99 or 95 maybe percent of the job, and the 5% doesn't even make the cut because of the cost. So try to stop buying as many toiletries as you have, try to size down your skincare or everything else that is related to that, and just try it for a while. And if you realize you need more, then add something more to your routine or whatever it is. But just make sure that you will save a lot of money, a lot of time, and a lot of headache when you just don't stress your skin as much. And as I said, stop buying these things if you're not sure if you really need them. But now maybe one of the most difficult and also one of the most expensive categories of things that you should stop buying if you want to pursue a one-bag life, and that are just case items. And I'm sure it's very different for everyone because everyone has different needs, but I'm sure everyone buys them. Items that you think you will know or you will use in the future, but actually not sure when. So you buy them for an occasion that you might think could happen, but in the end maybe it won't happen. And in general, I would say it's a very good thing to have something in your house or maybe in your bag where you would say, if something happens, then I can use this item for whatever situation it is. But to be honest, how often do you use these items? So just make sure that most of the times, even in an emergency situation, you can get almost everything in the next couple of hours or minutes or maybe days. So just try to minimize down or stop buying these just in case items at all, because you will save a lot of space in your bag and also a lot of money, because as I said, most people will spend the most money in this category, even though you don't have enough space in your bag because you need to carry your essentials. And lastly, the, in my opinion, most difficult category of things that you should stop buying, or maybe better receiving, if you want to pursue a one-bag life. And these are actually souvenirs and everything that is related to memories. I talk about presents from friends and family, photos that you took a long time ago, or as I said, maybe a very nice souvenir from your last holiday where you connect a lot of memories to. And as I said, for me personally, it's the most difficult category of things that you should stop buying or receiving. Because as I said, you will connect emotions and memories to these things. Maybe you've got a magnet for your fridge from the best holiday you've ever had so far, or you received a present from a friend or your family that you really like, but in the end you need to make the cut, I would say, or make the very hard decision if it has some space in your bag. If it has, or if you want to spend the space in your bag, then you should definitely trying to fit it inside and to carry it. But most of the times I would say it's very hard to justify the space in your bag. So you need to make the decision that is, as I said, sometimes very hard to make, if it's really the thing that you want to carry. Or maybe you try to digitalize the pictures or find another solutions for many different things. But just make sure that you maybe stop buying or maybe even stop receiving presents from your friends and tell them that they should better spend the money on memories that you can make together instead of physical things that you end up need to carry in your bag because you don't want to throw them away. As you can see, you definitely will stop buying a lot of these things when you start pursuing your own journey towards a one-bag life. And as I said, sometimes some things may be easier to stop buying and sometimes they are more difficult to stop buying. But for me personally, I quickly realized after I personally stopped buying them that my life is much freer, that I'm definitely not so dependent on the stuff that I'm owning. And in the end, the result for me was that it's much more stress-freer and I don't need to think about all my stuff that I own or that I want to carry in my bag, because I've only space for the really necessary things and the most important things to me personally, so I can much easier decide where I want to go and what I want to do, and that gives me personally the ultimate freedom that a one-bag life brings. But now that you know what you will stop buying when you start your own journey towards a true one-bag life, here is the main category of things that I think you should personally stop buying right now for every kind of lifestyle, even if you're not pursuing a one-bag life. And this category of things that you should start buying right now, no matter what lifestyle you are pursuing, is one category I already mentioned before, and that is actually toiletries, skincare, and everything related to that. If you liked the video, don't forget to subscribe and like, but most important, share a comment down below with the things you start buying for your current lifestyle. The next video will be about my personal definition of a one-bag life and what belongs to a one-bag life and what not. In the meantime, you can watch my last video where I show you how I pack my own 30-liter carry-on size backpack for my personal life, so it's easy and efficient to access and to use. But as always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. No matter if you live an extreme lifestyle like a one-bag life or every other kind of lifestyle, I personally think that we are all spending too much money on these things, and that most of the things that we will buy to make ourselves feel better are not giving us the benefit that you will have when you spend the money on more meaningful things like experiences or things that will really improve your personal life. And as I said, I'm not an expert, I'm not a doctor, and nothing in regards to dermatology or so definitely reach out and do your own research, go to your own doctors and talk to them. But I personally think, and I talked to a lot of other people about this topic as well, that most of them are maybe as happy or as healthy when in regards to skin and general health, with a lot of less things that they personally think they would need. So as I said, do your research, talk to professionals in that field, and try to find out what you really need, what your skin really needs. Because as I already mentioned before, I definitely know that some people with certain skin conditions definitely need like a specific treatment for them, and especially not only for their skin, but maybe for their health in general. But I would say that most of the people will be comfortable with 95%, not 95%, with the basics, and they will cover 95% of their needs. And the extra money you will spend on this last 5% really doesn't make any difference, and it's better spent in, as I said, making new experiences or other things that will definitely impact your life in a positive way, and not just drain your money for something that doesn't really have any benefits or so. So I highly recommend thinking about the things that you're currently carrying maybe in your toiletries bag and rethinking what you really need, so you will save a lot of money and a lot of stress, and maybe it's also time if your routine cuts down by 3 steps, I would say. And definitely stop buying these things for every kind of lifestyle.